Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Hi,
Hi,
Nicole.
everyone. It's good to have you here. Let's see, we have a few comments. Kari,
Bring them in.
very welcome. Good that you're here. Then we have Claire,
Willing and
welcome.
excited. That's good. Willing and excited is great.
Yes. Willing to have a date. Right?
With your own genius.
Claire is also excited. We are also excited. It's our first live stream.
Yes, we are.
So let's see how it goes today. Katja, hi. Nice to see you. Great. So Martina is also excited.
Hi, Martina.
It's fun. Kari writes, greetings from Northern, what is this? USA? Northern Anca, you know better probably. MN, is this Michigan?
No. Minnesota?
Which country is that?
Carrie. Give us the answer, Carrie. Let's see.
Let's see.
Yep.
Okay. We are Nicole and Anca.
Minnesota. Here you go. Yep.
Thank you, Kari. So maybe we should introduce each other. We are Nicole and Anca. But before we get into the introduction, we would like to get you into the right spirit for today's topic. So we would like to ask you a few questions. And we want to ask you to pick the sentence that suits you most. And just drop the number of the sentence you like best in the comments. So the first one would be, I need to get my energy out and see what I've done. I want satisfaction in my work.
The second is, mastering my challenges is most important to me. I want to be successful in my work.
It's a good one. The third one is, I want to do something meaningful. I want to have impact with my work.
Mm-hmm. And the fourth one, it's about relationships. So relationships at work are most important to me. I want to work in a team I love. So just take a moment and reflect for yourselves what you think suits you best. Maybe sometimes you would probably combine two. That's also okay. And yep, here you go.
So we have a few comments.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Kari has 2 and 3.
And 4.
Claire is a 3. She wants to have impact. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Olivia is 2 and 3. Mastering the challenges, success. Juan Jose, welcome. Wants success in his work.
Hi, Victoria. She's got 1 and 4.
Martina, 3 and 4.
An anonymous Facebook user with 1 and 3.
Katja has 2 and 4. Relationships and success.
Yep.
Patsy, 2 and 4. That's nice. Seems there is something for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's just to see where you are at the moment. Of course, these things can change during the course of the life. It's just to get you into the right topic for today. Because, of course, we are talking about satisfaction, success, impact, relationships. All of these things are covered in the Genius Report.
Mm-hmm.
Monica says 1 to 3, she's not anonymous. That's nice. Thank you, Monica.
Right.
Okay. So,
Nicole, would you like to introduce yourself?
yes, thanks. Yes, I'm Nicole. I'm part of the team that is behind the Genius Report and 64 Keys Media. We are the publishers of the Genius Report. I work with the Genius Report as trainer and coach and also in recruiting. And my personal story with all of this is that in my previous work life, I often felt very exhausted. I was working in marketing, and on the weekend, I often had the feeling that I don't want to go to work anymore on Monday. And I couldn't really explain this to myself because my job was okay. I had a nice little career, my own career, and everything was okay. But my job just felt a little bit distant from myself. I was missing a kind of realness in my work. I had to play a role, and I felt that wasn't really me. So my job didn't give me energy, rather it cost me a lot of energy. So therefore on Fridays I was more than empty. And I hated this feeling. I mean, really, it was awful. And thanks to this knowledge we are also using in the Genius Report, I was able to find out what kind of work style is suitable for me, for my genius. And thanks to that, I was able to change about everything about my career. And since then, it's nearly 20 years ago, I have never felt this exhaustion again in my life and this kind of emptiness. So I'm very glad about that. So I'm sure, Anca, you also have a story with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I'm Anca and I'm a business coach and trainer. And my story is that I find great inspiration in working with people. And I have great interest in how how people work together, but also how people cope with their lives, what their feelings are, what motivates them, what drives them in life. And of course, at some point, I've started asking this question myself. And of course, I found some answers, but they were never totally satisfactory. So when I discovered the Genius Report, that made me really happy because then I could understand a few things about myself that worried me. For example, I have a very strong life force, and that wants to be employed in a very satisfactory way. And of course, satisfaction is this very personal issue. What makes you happy? And every time my work didn't make me happy anymore, I went somewhere else, and I had a I never understood why, but with the Genius Report, it dawned on me, and I will tell you a bit later on about it. And that is my story. So the Genius helped me connect the dots in my own biography and come to terms with a few question marks that I had, and also it gave me peace of mind and acceptance. Yep.
Yes, thank you, Anca, for this introduction. So, yes, everyone has a story to share. And to make this even clearer, I would like to take you on a little day trip, and I'm going to show you a little pre-recorded video. Let us take you to the beautiful city of Philadelphia. Here at the city center, we want to show you an amazing public piece of art. This sculpture, it is called Freedom Sculpture, is from Zenos Frudakis, a well-known sculptor. And it shows us the process of struggling to break free. It is about finding our own creative freedom. And as you can see, it has 4 figures, but in reality it is showing us the becoming of one individual creative being. At the beginning you see a man that fits very well into his form, into a norm you could say, and fitting in is comfortable, but there comes a time where he can no longer move and it is becoming too painful and he starts to try to break free. And of course it is a struggle. It's not that easy. But there is this desire within him, the need to finally get out, to be able to breathe again and move again. And finally, he's out, he's standing on his own feet, he's able to fully stretch out, breathe again, he's looking into the sun, being thankful, and he starts to dance and feel himself again. Becoming ourselves is a lot like that. It requires a lot of time, effort, we have to deal with fears. Maybe we have to leave relationships behind. And we have to let go of the person who we thought we were. This sculpture invites you to step into it and look at yourself in this process. Look at what is holding you back. And also what inspires you to break free and become simply unique like this man.
Very touching. It's a very touching film, and I've seen it about 2 or 3 days ago for the first time when you showed it to me, and I couldn't believe how many details there are in that sculpture as well.
Yeah, it's an amazing piece of art. I'm in love with this sculpture. It really says a lot without any words. Yeah, and the Genius Report is about becoming that person that dances out of the norm and inspires others to do the same. So it's not about becoming someone else, it's about becoming yourself.
And you can see in the comments,
Yeah.
our viewers are also moved. Yeah, Claire, I share that moment. I was moved to tears too. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Kari says she has been using that image. That's cool.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Excellent. Right.
What's the name of the sculpture? Deborah asks. The sculpture is called Freedom Sculpture. And it's from an artist that is living in Philadelphia too. His name is Zenos Frudakis. And it's public. You can visit it there. Yeah. Freedom. It's called simply Freedom.
It is.
Yeah. Okay, so this is what the Genius Report is about. Let's maybe discuss what the Genius Report is.
So first of all, let me tell you that there are two versions of the Genius Report. First, you have the free Genius Compact. That's a one-page excerpt that you can download for free at the Genius Report website. And then you also have a comprehensive report that has 10 chapters. And in order to see the difference, you can also download, I think we have 4 versions of the comprehensive report, and you can see what additional information
reports.
you can get.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Excuse me. Wrong slide.
Yep.
Yep.
So that's it. Now, what's the Genius Report? It's a birthday-based report describing your talents and powers, your geniuses, so to speak, because we assume that you have more than one. It focuses on your genuine and authentic strengths.
Yeah.
And it helps to realize your authentic opportunity for unfolding your personality, the person that you really are. Mm-hmm. So your genius allows you to easily accomplish something which another person may not be able to achieve, even when trying hard. It's the thing that makes you unique, and makes you the person you are.
Yeah.
Now, it is based on the assumption that our cosmos is a matrix and that it's formed of mathematical structures. And the structure of this matrix is based on the principle of synchronicity and fractal orders. And this is a knowledge that has been around in ancient cultures for many, many thousands of years. And it's been rediscovered with all its impact that it has now on us today. So, knowing your genius helps you to better know your strengths and to know what makes you different from others. And also, it gives you a good basis for making your own decisions and making good decisions. So, basically, it's not about making you stronger or better or faster, richer. It helps you to become aware of what your authentic behavior is. That's the story of the genius.
Yeah.
So at some point, you might say, well, what's the point of developing my own individuality in times of turmoil, in times of war that we are living, in times where a lot of people, well, are going to be unable to pay their electricity bills. At least here in Europe, we have this issue at the current moment. So, what's all the point? You know, life is not about self development at the moment.
Yeah.
So, what we can give you is yes, but there is also a but, and Nicole will take care of the
Yeah, I mean,
but.
it's totally understandable. It sounds a little bit selfish to say I'm going to develop my individuality and my genius now, but exactly these turmoils need a different answer this time. And the thing is that we are working with birth dates in the Genius Report, so time is a very important information factor. So we are analyzing time and also time qualities. And what we know is that there is a paradigm shift ahead. So what you can do is you can calculate larger cycles, global cycles, and epochs on a larger scale. So it's not about those things, you know, from astrology where you're looking into a year. It's about much larger epochs. And there is a changing of the epochs in front of us like it hasn't happened for hundreds of years. It's a real paradigm shift. And the epoch in which we still are in started 1615. So a lot, many, many years, more than 400 years. So we can already feel how this old age is coming to an end. We can feel how the clock is ticking. And you don't have to believe in anything very spooky or mystical to see that the drums of change are beating. And to make it a little bit clearer, what I mean is I would like to talk a little bit more about those cycles and how they are changing. So when we are analyzing the old cycle and we analyze the prevailing paradigms, we see four major themes that you can see here that have been defining the way our world works for us. So they define basically everything. And the first one is work and wage labor. So after all, it was the industrial age. We cannot imagine anything else than work. People who don't have work have no status in our society. And if you don't have work, you don't have money. And the first thing young people need is when they leave school, they need to find a job, right? There is no politician who doesn't promise more jobs because when we don't have work, we don't have anything in our lives. And also, some amount of suffering in our work is quite normal to us. It has to be hard to be real work, right? Isn't it? So, for us, for our generation, we don't question that. But younger generations are already starting to question that. The second most important thing were communities. So they were our guarantee for survival. We support each other through our families and our communal systems. Everybody belongs to different communities, and very often they are based on ethnicity, religion, and always nationality. And of course, that has advantages, but it also means being dependent on the support of these communities. So belonging to a community is very critical for our survival. And this will also change. The third thing was planning, logical planning into the future. This has made it possible for us to develop a lot of infrastructure on this planet in our world. Our world was to a certain degree plannable and predictable. Every company used to present a business plan 10 years ahead. So we are very much used to planning and reaching our goals. But this will change. There are already a lot of disruptive things going around. And the fourth factor is growth. Growth as the motor for prosperity. Population growth, economic growth, more of everything basically. Our financial system, our whole financial system is based on growth. If there is no growth anymore, everything collapses. So we are having a real problem if growth stops, because this is the way our world works. And these are all things we take for granted. They are so self-evident that we don't even question them. But this is going to change. In 2027, these paradigms will be replaced by completely new themes. So these changes will take many, many years. It will not happen suddenly in 2027, but it's an epoch that is changing. Instead of wage labor and work, it will be about spirit. So the most important thing for us will be to maintain a proper spirit. What is meant with spirit? It is the attitude on how we look at the world and what kind of spirit we base our relationships on and our decisions on. And we will no longer work just for getting money, but because it promises emotional fulfillment. So work will have to be good for our spirits. And younger generations are already asking for that. Second, individuality will be more important than communities. Individuality and the union of individuals because of their shared spirit. That's interesting. People will not work together because of their ethnicity, nationality, or religion. This will not be important anymore because our world is already globalized. It doesn't play a role anymore. Rather, people will work together because they share a spirit. And people will support each other because of that. So our individuality will be our guarantee for survival in the future, and not the communities anymore, not to that large extent. So for that, it will also be very important to be very present in the now. So having intuition and courageousness in the now instead of planning. So there are so many sudden changes in the world, and the only thing we can do is trust our intuition to manage all this chaos. And will it be the end of growth? We don't know. But what will come are new beginnings. So if growth is not the paradigm anymore, everything changes, and the future will be about ambitious new beginnings. The power will lie with those who dare to start something new. And this is very interesting for us as GeniusReport users or coaches, because we have not learned to deal with a new world like this. Individuality was a luxury reserved for artists. Most of us went to schools where we were homogenized. We learned to conform to the demands of society. We learned to work, isn't it? And authenticity was also a luxury. Self-love, the word alone is a provocation for some people. It is sometimes associated with selfishness. But fact is, in our Western world, burnout and depression are among the most common diseases. Why? Because we are not kind to ourselves. We have not learned self-love, real self-love. And what is also very important is self-responsibility. That is something we all have to learn, to stand on our own feet, like our freedom sculpture, to make our own decisions, steps into our own direction, and bear the consequences of these decisions ourselves. And the Genius Report is a tool that can help you to make some small steps into this direction. And every step into this direction will pay off, because Everyone's needed. We are all one, and everyone's needed the way one is, because otherwise change wouldn't work, right? So
Exactly. Mm.
maybe you have questions about this. Kari says, exciting. Yeah, it is exciting. I think we can all feel this already, that something is coming to an end and the new has not begun yet, but we can feel things are changing on a quite deep level, isn't it?
I think that's very challenging times, and also times of insecurity. As you said,
Yeah.
the old is not gone yet and the new has not materialized yet. So we are somehow caught in between, and we can't imagine what such a great shift means to us. We have never experienced that in our lifetime. So we have to deal with it step by step, and focus and trust the process. I would even say, trust the process. Yeah.
Yeah. Olivia says she can't really grasp the thing about no communities anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that communities will kind of diminish. It's rather they will be based on new principles like individuality and spirit, and not, for example, a sharing of religion or nationality. And it will be an advantage to have self-responsibility and to work out your life not being dependent on the support of your communal infrastructure, but rather, standing on your own feet. So it's not that communities don't matter anymore. Of course, we all need communities at the lockdowns and at the corona pandemic time. We all felt that we need communities. So, but the underlying principles are changing, and you
It's
maybe will not be able to rely on communities anymore.
Yeah, we will have communities based on values, that form themselves based on certain values, rather than, as you said, someone creating or giving us the space to create a community. It will emerge from within ourselves, rather than someone putting something at our disposition. I think that's the big shift there. Yeah. Just looking at the comments, Claire writes that she talks to her husband regularly, and that she tells him that growth cannot continue forever in his company, because that's the truth. Basically, we have to focus on other issues. Mm. Amen. Hmm.
Nikki says, honoring
Yep.
people on an individual basis and preference, as opposed to broadly doing what fair for the majority, as in work environments. Mm-hmm.
The real
Yes.
attributes. Right. Excellent. So let
What does
me
this magnet
talk.
mean?
Yeah, let me get back to the Genius Report and tell you what the magnet means there. So, what you see is a magnet and bullets, and they obviously are attracted to each other. So, there's matter that is attracted, and it's attracted by something that is invisible, and that's a force field. So, we can easily identify matter, but the force field or the energy that is there cannot easily be perceived. So we need auxiliary means. In this case, it's the bullet, and that makes the attraction visible. So even in the smaller particles, the atoms, we find force fields. Without them, the electrons would not circle around the nucleus, and they would just simply drift away. They wouldn't be there anymore. So nothing in this world can be described on the basis of matter alone. We have to consider the force fields as well. So as far as human beings are concerned, matter can easily be decoded by the DNA analysis. If you exactly, here's the slide. So by the DNA analysis, that's our genetic disposition. But in order to describe the phenomenon of personality, there's a second factor that we have to take into consideration, and that's our cognitive conditioning or imprinting. That's the culture we were born in, the education that we have been experiencing, the socialization around us. So it's arguable which one is more important when describing the personality, but it's clear enough both of them are matter. And usually we stop here, but now comes the genius into the game. And with a genius, we have a means to describe the genetic disposition of a person. And once we have that, we can also describe
the energetic, the energetic disposition. Yes,
exactly.
like the
What did
force
I
field.
say? Sorry. Yeah,
Genetic. I understood. Yeah.
the
So it's about
energetic
the energy
disposition.
side. Yeah.
Yeah, the energy side. And once we have that, we can describe the dynamics between two people, so between two energetic force fields that come together, or even more. So we cover quite a lot with the Genius Report and the aspects that come, additional aspects that we have.
Mm-hmm.
So when they all come together, they all influence each other. And by knowing one's own force fields, we can make statements about the personality of an individual. I've lost my track now. Sorry.
Yeah, let's go. So they all work together, basically, right?
Exactly. Exactly. So um, the the genetic disposition and the energetic disposition, they are static and determined. This is what we are born with, and this is what we die with, basically. But the energetic conditioning and the cognitive conditioning, they are dynamic and variable. So we can choose with whom we get together. We have a certain choice about what culture we want to live in, what education we wanted to be part of. And if we look at the entire picture, this creates the holistic personality model that is that makes our genius, basically. We are at the center of it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's interesting. Many brain scientists are looking for personality and they are trying to find
Mm-hmm.
out when we say I, where is this I? Where is the personality? Where is the genius of a person? And of course, they cannot find it from our perspective because they are only looking at the matter side. And if you put up a model like this, you can see that there are many things working together that make up the genius of a person.
Exactly. And if you take assessment centers into consideration when you apply for jobs, the assessment centers, the questionnaires are based on the matter side only. There's no questionnaire that addresses the energetic side. So that's an additional value that the Genius Report offers. Mm-hmm.
Yes. So now you might want to know, where do we get this information from, if you don't know it by now. So what we are doing is revolutionary in the world of potential analysis or personality analysis. We open up a new level of information that has never been considered before when you are assessing people. And the basic assumption behind that is that our solar system is like an information field, right? You see it here. And of course, the forces in this field can be calculated for every moment in time because we know exactly where all the planets in these solar systems are at the moment. And now the idea is that each human being has a force field too, as we just discussed. And the idea is that this is a representation of the solar system's force field at the time of birth of the being. So you could say it's a representation of the interplanetary forces given. We are basically living in a matrix, in a mathematical matrix, and everything is information. So your birth time is a kind of imprinting. Your birth time is like your launch date, and you are representing the time quality of that specific day. This is also the reason why generations of people are so different. If you're looking at school classes, they are all different from year to year because they carry a different imprinting. So that's the idea behind. And the system behind is the human design matrix. So the large part of the Genius Report is based on the human design matrix. If you don't know it, want to know more, then I suggest that you go to the website 64keys.com. There you can get a lot of information about the system, and you can calculate human design charts. But we won't go into that in this live stream. Let's get back to the Genius Report, Anca.
Mm-hmm. We are now going to have a look at a famous actor, that's Keanu Reeves. Why did we pick him? We picked him because we were looking for someone who we thought many people across the countries that are potentially watching us know him. So he's a famous actor. And so this is the Genius Compact that you have. That's the free version, and you get quite a lot of information already in this compact version. So it gives you a certain overview, a nice overview of certain aspects or areas of one's genius. Now, first there is the force field. That's the white area in the middle that stretches out between the orange and the blue dots with its 9 aspects. And there are 2 different modes. There are the modes perceptual and effectual, and you can make the difference between them. The perceptual mode are the blue dots, and the effectual mode are represented by the orange dots. Now, what does this mean? If an aspect, any of the 9 aspects that you see there, is in effectual mode, so orange in this case, you're extroverted in this aspect. You have an impact on others. You can influence others with your energy, and you can always rely on this aspect in your life. And you learn to deal with it from your own process with it. And the aspect that is in a perceptual mode, that is the blue dot, that shows itself in a very receptive form, and it's influenced by other people, and it's very flexible and adaptive. So what we can see in Keanu's force field is that in some of its parts, the white force field opens wide towards the outer edge. So in this aspect, he's extroverted, and where he is, and he can influence others, and where he is more inside to the center, he's perceptual, and he can be influenced by other people or by the surroundings, not only people. Yeah, that's to start with Keanu. We'll get back to him later on and go through the other points that we see there. And we would like to continue with
field.
with our force fields. First of all, with mine, and I would like to pick 2 of the aspects so that you have an idea of what it is all about. And I'll start with a life force and activity. So the life force, it's about creative power, about productivity, work energy. So using this life force in a satisfactory way is very important to me. Now, what satisfaction means is a very individual thing. And it is selective, and it shows itself in the connection with one's own genius. So in my case, it's about building emotional relationships with people. It's the basis for fruitful work relationships and processes. And I also have the responsibility, or the sense of responsibility, to care for others. And I like taking responsibility for people, things, and also other projects. And that has a strong impact on my work. Not being able to live these aspects and qualities in my work, not being able to form a community in my work environment makes me unproductive. So it's like losing the scope for work. And that I realized, and that explained to me why at some point I changed jobs quite often, because that's exactly what I was lacking in my work. And the second aspect that I've chosen to pick out and demonstrate to you is the intuitive body awareness. So I was always a very robust and child that liked being outdoors, and I had a fairly good sense of how dangerous situations are, how dangerous it is to climb up a tree or slide down that hill. So I was never badly injured, except for, the little scratches and bumps that you get on your knees. And luckily, my family let me do for a long time. But as I grew older, my environment started to put more emphasis on my reasoning, on my mental skills. So as time passed by, I start losing the connection to my intuitive approach to life, and my decision taking was more and more based on reflection and reasoning. So it was only when I discovered the 64 keys and the Genius Report that I started reconnecting with my intuition and hearing my voice again. So, because this is a very subtle voice that can easily be overheard.
Yeah,
So,
it really looks strong, your intuitive body awareness, like the center of your forces, you could say.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Nicole, would you like to
Yeah.
share some
My
insights?
my
What's
force
your
field looks totally different from Anca's. I have a lot of aspects in the perceptive mode. That means I'm good at perceiving the energy of others and especially the life force and activity. So this is this is the explanation for me why I was so exhausted in my previous work life all the time, because my force field is not producing so much energy on its own, but rather I'm here to work in a system, in a team where I can perceive and, work with the energy of others. And it wasn't my genius to work 40 hours a week the whole year. It was not my genius. My former colleagues know. I was exhausted and I tried to be efficient, to have more time to relax. But if you have a similar force field like mine, maybe success is also something for you, because success is important for me. I like to master a system and contribute to the success of a system, and then I'm happy. So it's not so much about impact, what you would see in the expression maybe, and it's not about satisfaction, because that you would see in the life force. For me, it's about success because of all the perception. What is driving me, though, are my emotions. I have to be in the mood for doing things. And once I'm in the mood for doing things, I can do a lot. But on the other hand, what comes with that are kind of performance changes or changes in my energy level. So there are phases where I have a lot of energy, and then there are phases where that is not there. And if I allow this in my workplace, in my work style, then everything is fine. So I had to learn that. Let's get back to Keanu.
exactly our tonight's star? So, Keanu, what you can see below the force field are his specific talents and skills, and you can say that he's having an impact with his work because of his presentation skills and his power of attraction. So he's able to attract people into his flow and then present what he's standing for.
And that is really remarkable about him as an actor, because I think he's really an outstanding Hollywood actor. And I assume that is because of his strong presentation skill, that he was able to really be the face of the idea of everything that has to do with matrix and illusion. And, some people are saying we are living in an illusion, and sometimes they take Keanu Reeves as a face for that, because he's able to attract people and then make an idea visible for them as a model for that, presenting an idea. And now you might say that's only acting, but it's also a question of a good casting, A great film can only be made when the actors are really absorbed in their roles. And what's also interesting about him, you can see that his intuitive body awareness, he's very perceptive here. And I think that he is not looking like the classic action movie character. He looks kind of fragile, isn't it? If you're thinking about action heroes, you would think about people like Arnold Schwarzenegger, with a lot of muscles and looking very robust. And this is not Keanu Reeves. He's looking like a fragile being. But he's in this action movie, so it's quite interesting, I think.
Well, he always plays quite sensitive characters in his movies,
Exactly.
even if it's action movies. Yeah. So it's not only acting, as you said; it's also part of his character and of his being.
Of course, yeah.
So let's have a look at the next point that we can see there: the talent profile. I will give you some general idea of how to read it. First of all, you have to start reading the talent profile from bottom to top. And the bar that shows 100% is your talent profile. That would the most outstanding and the most important, part that you have to look at. So let me explain you. I'll give you the basis before we look at Keanu's in detail. Just imagine you start building a factory. So what you do first is you do the analysis. You check the resources. You find every information possible to see can this be done? Can this project be realized? Then comes the next level. So everything is done at the basis. Now comes the development. The product is being developed, and that is going to be built in a factory. And at the third level, we have the realization. So it's action oriented. The product has been developed on paper. Now it comes to be realized. It's there. You can hold it in your hand at this level. Now, what you do with it, you want to sell it. And how do you do it on the fourth level? You sell it by contact. So it's client oriented. It's based on relationships, on personal relationships. It's the kind of person that knocks at the door and wants to sell you something, and he needs to be convinced that it's a good product, otherwise he won't do it. At the next level, you have the dissemination or market oriented. So you figured out the product is good, it's valuable, people like it, so you start penetrating other markets, international markets. You grow abroad. So that's the talent profile that likes to disseminate knowledge, for example, or anything, but it's about dissemination. And here, that's the end of the value creation chain. So the next level, it's about transforming everything that's been before, making it better, making something else out of it, transforming it. So it's not so much about value creation, but would not say improving, because it's not been bad before, but making something different out of it.
Yeah.
So, yep, Nicole?
Yeah, it's very much values based. So the thing is not what are we producing or selling, but rather what kind of values are we having in our organization, for example, in our fabric.
So if you look at Keanu's talent profile, his is the analysis. So if you imagine him, being offered a contract or a proposal for a new film or movie, you would probably think that he would ask a lot of in-depth questions and make a thorough analysis if it's worth being part of it. That is his talent profile.
And overall, the talent profile is very important for getting satisfaction. If you do what is in your talent profile or what is most pronounced in your talent profile, you're getting a lot of satisfaction out of that. Or you're having impact with that. So it doesn't say that you cannot do the other things. Everyone can do everything out of this talent profile, but the one that is the strongest gives you the most satisfaction and the most impact. This is part of your genius. And similar it is with the next one, the cooperation profile. This is very helpful for people who are working in teams or in cooperative settings. Similar to the talent profile, every person has a particular cooperation profile. Of course, we can all work in any mode, but this is helpful to know which form of cooperation suits you best and gives you most impact. So in Keanu Reeves' case, we can see that he unfolds his talent best when he is cooperating in larger organizations. So he's probably appreciating work sharing processes in which every individual has his or her defined area of tasks and they are cooperating and working towards a shared goal. And the thing below is your preferred team role. We have 12 different team roles in the Genius Report. Keanu Reeves' preferred team role is the team leader. And this is what I would have guessed, but after all, he's the chosen one, isn't he? So team role and cooperation profile are very important for having it easy in our relationships at work. If we can be authentic here, it makes things much easier. And the next one is important for you if you're working in larger organizations. It is the power base. It's called the power base. Every one of us exerts a certain influence when we are joining a larger organization or a larger group. And this chart illustrates which areas in larger organizations we influence. So what we see here are organizational forces. And it shows our unintentional effect on these organizational forces. So in Keanu's case, he's strengthening the management and administration, and he is contributing to target-oriented planning and resource management. So quite interesting, I would say. This is only applying in larger groups, so this doesn't apply to you as an individual. It's not like personality traits, it's your impact in organizations. You have to know this. So what's next? Maybe you have a few questions about that or things you would like to share before we move on. Any questions? So if you want a Genius Report coaching or want to know more about your Genius Report, we recommend you to go to the website where you can find coaches that are trained in the Genius Report and they offer you coachings or sessions in your language. It's available in German, English, and Spanish. And so that is an address for you to go. So Deborah says, could you repeat about action-oriented? Where did we have that? It was on the slide. It was the Keanu Reeves is action-oriented. Yes, that means that satisfaction comes when you can act and work in a way where you have, at the end of the day, you can see what you have done. You can get into action. So there are several different types in the Genius Report: success orientation, action orientation, Anca, what is your building things, impacting things? Yes. So action is about coming to action, manifesting things at the end of the day that you can see what you have done.
With me, it's more the process of it and the relationships. And some others, are action oriented. They want to see the result of their work. Yeah.
Yeah, result orientation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Guys.
Olivia is asking something about the talent profile.
Yeah.
Yeah. She says she can't relate to the talent profile. She can't relate to that aspect. If we can think of any reason why this is the case.
You cannot relate except for the talent profile. That's interesting. To be honest, I hear that rarely. Many people can relate very much what they read in the Genius Report and also in the human design charts. This is a case for a coaching. Maybe you need a different kind of explanation or different words, Any ideas on that, Anca?
I was thinking the same, that maybe someone is fixed on a certain idea of reading it and can't see, have some corners that are not visible yet in that room, that there's no light that's been shed on it, and probably it's a matter for a coaching to see what's.
Yeah. Okay. So, if you caught fire for the Genius Report, if you are interested in learning more about what's behind all that, how you can integrate this in your work, we have training programs, online training programs. You can find the actual schedule on the website. And Anca has a training coming up next week, right?
Next week, Wednesday, it's
Wednesday.
the 21st. Should be the 21st of September.
Okay.
Same time,
Same time.
7 p.m.
What are you learning? You learn how to work with the Genius Report. After the training, you will be able to interpret and understand all 10 chapters for yourself and others. And of course, in the training, you can get insights on your own Genius Report and discuss examples together. So we are doing this in small groups where there is a lot of space to discuss things. And in the online training, you'll also get access to a video training, the 9 Genius aspects in more detail. And there are 4 live training sessions about all 10 chapters of the report. You will get access to a newly formed Genius Coaches group on Facebook where we can exchange about examples and share ideas and things like that. And you get a lot of downloads. Teaching materials, presentation slides, a workbook, and more like that. And if you are a coach or a trainer, of course, you can learn how to integrate the Genius Report in your work, or for example, as a recruiter. And you can also get an optional certification as a Genius coach. You don't have to get this certification in order to work with the Genius Report, but you can, and you will get a nice certificate. And if you're interested in that, you can see at GeniusReport.net, there are a lot of coaches already working with the Genius Report all over the world. We are very proud of that. Yeah. Any other questions? Mirjana. Thanks for your love. Yeah, Mirjana is also a Genius Report trainer. No questions? Oh, I see it's already 8 o'clock.
Already 8 o'clock. On the spot.
I have a nice story as a goodbye. It was about 1 or 2 years ago. I was having a Genius coaching with an opera singer. She's a successful singer, singing operas, classical music, and She came because someone told her about the Genius Report, and she was having troubles with her voice all the time. And in a Genius coaching, we found out that, her rehearsals and practice sessions where you have to do a lot of singings and things like that. She used to do this like the norm, like all her colleagues are doing their rehearsals and practice sessions. And she thought she had to do it the same way. And this was costing her a lot of energy, and her throat began to have problems because of all these things, because her expression is different. She's a genius in expression, of course, as a singer, but she had a very special style that was more suitable for her when doing training and rehearsals. And she was able to change all that. And later she gave me feedback that, her voice has recovered and she's having a totally different work life, and everything changed for her for the better. So I think that's a nice story to share, that sometimes it's just about changing the little things so that you can, manage your energy better.
That's a lovely story, Nicole. Thanks
Yeah.
for sharing. We have some more questions here.
Yes.
Olivia's asking, do you have to know about Penta and why in order to understand and work with the Genius Report? No. A simple no.
No, it's about the team roles and the power base, and this is perfectly explained in the Genius Report, and you will learn about that, so you don't have to be an insider.
Do you also have people using the Genius Report that aren't coaches? Yes, you don't have to be a certified coach. It depends in what country you live. In Austria, for example, it's a very strict thing to work as a coach. There are strict regulations, but that doesn't hold true for other countries. And we know a lot of people who use that in their families and, in a sort of private environment, friends and families, because it is a very helpful tool. So you don't have to be a coach and work as a coach. Yeah. The knowledge is there for everyone. Yeah.
Martina, you're welcome. And also Melanie, you're welcome. Kari asks if we can put the links. Yes, we will put the links to our trainings and all the websites we mentioned in under this Facebook stream as a comment, so you can click on that later and find all the information also regarding cost, because this is different from trainer to trainer. It's about 350 euros, about that, to give you
Rough
an
idea.
idea about that. Yes, so you will find all links below this stream. Juan Jose, you're welcome. We are happy to share.
Very welcome.
It was our pleasure. See you maybe next time in 2 weeks. We will do another live stream.
Oh,
Maybe
will we?
if you
Excellent.
not let's see.
Have a great evening, everybody, all over the world, in northern Minnesota too.
Yeah.
And thank you. And if
See
you
you.
have, if you know people who might benefit from this knowledge, or even want to join us, so pass on the link. And as Nicole mentioned, we're live again in 2 weeks' time.
Probably. Thank you. Have a
Thank
nice
you.
day.
Thank you, Nicole.
Bye bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.